I'm Nadia Sirota, and we're here live in the Jerome L. Green Performance Space celebrating the New York Philharmonic's Hungarian Echoes Festival, a 3-week event highlighting the work of composers Haydn, Bartok, and Ligeti. If you're tuned into WQXR on a radio, you can also watch tonight's concert on a video webcast. Just go to the homepage at wqxr.org. We have some wonderful performances on the way tonight. We'll hear a string quartet of musicians from the New York Philharmonic, 2 works for harpsichord performed by keyboardist Connor Hannock, and a performance by the amazing pianist Marino Formenti, all playing music from groundbreaking composers who were inspired by Hungary. And now you may be wondering, Haydn groundbreaking? Well, yes, Haydn was quite innovative in his day, and Hungary played a huge role in his creative output. Joining me on stage tonight is composer, conductor, and Hungarian Echoes curator Esa-Pekka Salonen. Mr. Salonen is currently the conductor and artistic advisor of the Philharmonia Orchestra in London, and conductor laureate of the Los Angeles Philharmonic, an institution which he directed from 1992 to 2009, establishing it as one of the most creative and accomplished orchestras in the world. Mr. Salonen, welcome to WQXR.
Thank you very much.
So tell me a little bit about the impetus for curating this festival. What interests you so much about Hungarian music?
Well, it started with Bartok, really, because I've been performing Bartok almost all my professional life, but then I felt that I never got the complete picture of this very multifaceted composer. I thought that there was always, emphasis on one side to him or only. Either it was the folklorist Bartok or it was the sort of modernist, rabulist, allegro barbaro kind of Bartok, or it was the sort of scientific composer Bartok. And I felt that somehow he must be more than just these separate segments. And so I decided that I dedicate 1 year of my life to performing Bartok, mostly Bartok, and this is the season. So when we started talking about this festival with the New York Philharmonic people, I suggested we do something around Bartok, and then of course Hungarian point of view is kind of natural in this case. So what we are having here is 3 composers who were great, groundbreaking innovators, all 3 of them.
So these 3 composers, who are Haydn, Bartok, and Ligeti, span some 250 years of music, starting in the sort of capital C classical music period and going all the way through the early 21st century. Aside from having something to do with Hungary, all 3 of them, what do you find that these composers have in common?
I think the most fascinating thing about all 3 is that they are at the moment in history, each one of them, where new forms, entirely new forms, are being created. If you think of the early symphonies of Haydn, the 3 we are playing in these 3 weeks, number 6, 7, 8, these were the first symphonies he wrote for Esterházy after having been hired as the Kapellmeister of the Esterházy court. And of course the very idea of symphony was wide open. Symphony could mean anything. So he basically made the form up as he went along. So what you're hearing in these 3 pieces is so fantastically free and inventive, fantastical music, and some kind of hybrid between concerto grosso and symphonic form, and the idea of minuet slash scherzo was being born around that time, and the third one of these symphonies has a minuet that actually is very close to the scherzo idea that Beethoven then later developed, and Bruckner and Mahler, of course, after him. Bartok comes also from a sort of a cusp time in musical history. He comes out of the late German Romantic tradition and wants to create new kind of music. But first he starts out as a sort of a Richard Strauss, not an epigone, but somebody who very clearly follows in those footsteps, and then creates his own thing, his own forms, and then of course Ligeti one of the great inventors of music after the Second World War.
We're about to actually hear music by Ligeti, who is the sort of quote-unquote youngest of these three composers. And we're going to listen to a piece he composed in 1968 for harpsichord called Continuum. We're going to be watching harpsichord player Connor Hannock perform this work, and you guys at home who are tuning in can actually watch Connor on our live sort of video webcast, which you can check out at wqxr.org.